Well, hello guys. That looks so stupid. Happy Halloween. What up, freaks? Welcome back to Freak Week. Clearly, I'm still feeling the Halloween spirit. If you haven't noticed, I've been really trying to dress up for these videos. But, you know, it's funny. I love Halloween, but I never get my shit together for a costume. Literally, like, every year, I have no costume, and I probably won't dress up this year because I'm boring like that. In the comments, I want to know, what are you guys going to be for Halloween? You guys should tell me if you're dressing up. Because clearly I am not, so, you know, let me live vicariously through you. Tweet me pictures or Instagram me or tag me in pictures of your Halloween costume after Halloween, okay? Because I'm totally not doing anything. I did want to remind you guys that the Freak Week shirts are available only until Halloween. I think I'm actually going to extend it like a day or two after Halloween, so if you're interested, check it out. There'll be a link in the description box. So I don't watch scary movies, but I know that the movie It has been really popular this year. And then the year before that, we had the weird thing with clowns just coming up everywhere. Whatever happened with that? One of my friends brought up that maybe it's a conspiracy that It put all the clowns out there to advertise for their movie a year in advance. But I know a lot of people are really into that kind of stuff. Now, I didn't see It, but I know that clowns are really kind of like the thing that's in right now. So I wanted to talk about something to do with clowns. So I found a real life killer clown true crime case that is fascinating and has recently resurfaced. Now, this is an old case. It's been over 27 years and no one has been officially held accountable for the murder of this woman. Her name is Marlene Warren. And this story takes place in Palm Beach County, Florida, in a really wealthy and nice neighborhood. This is a luxurious neighborhood actually called the Arrow Club, and very wealthy people lived in this neighborhood.
A hidden jewel in the crown of Palm Beach County, an area synonymous with power and money. The 35th president played here at the Oceanside Kennedy compound. The 45th wines and dines at the legendary Mar-a-Lago, 126 rooms, 20 acres.
So Marlene Warren and Michael Warren lived there with their son Joseph. And on May 26th of 1990, someone pulled up to the home of Marlene Warren, where she was with her son that day. At 11 a.m., someone pulls in the driveway in a Chrysler LeBaron, and this person is dressed as a clown. And Marlene answers the door. It's 11 a.m. She lives in this really safe neighborhood, and this clown had complete face paint, like you could literally only see their eyes, and a wig, the whole nine, and they were carrying flowers and a balloon, and the balloon said, "You're the greatest." So Marlene opened the door thinking this is some type of like greeting thing, like who sent this to me? And she goes to get it. And remember, this is 11 a.m. So, you know, if a clown comes to your door at night and it's not Halloween, probably don't answer that door no matter what. But this is the middle of the day. And as Marlene is taking these gifts from the clown and admiring them, the clown pulls out a gun and shoots her point blank in the mouth. After this, the clown calmly got back into their car and left.
And then what?
Leaves.
Jumps in the car.
Yep, and goes.
And takes off.
That's it. Never to be seen again.
Luckily, Joseph, her son, was quick enough to be able to get out there and see the car. He was the one who knew that it was a white Chrysler LeBaron, and his other friends were there too, and they went running outside. Now, there was a neighbor that witnessed the sound of it. Their neighbor, Bill Kramer, was out walking his dog that day, and he heard the bullets.
It sounded to me like a nail gun. Some very excited young people came running out saying something on the order of, "They've shot Joey's mother." My wife said, "Stay there, I'll call 911.
Marlene was taken to the hospital, but unfortunately 2 days later she died due to her injuries. Marlene's family was absolutely shocked. They couldn't think of anyone who would want to hurt her. She was a hardworking businesswoman. She was outgoing, loving, friendly, was a good person. People really liked Marlene, and it was odd that this would happen to someone like her. And the whole clown thing is really weird because it turns out that Marlene's family has always had a thing for clowns.
Eerily, Mom Shirley tells us the family always liked clowns. In fact, here's their circus room in their home.
Yeah, I kind of look at this one right here and say, hey, things will turn out all right. I feel he's sad because Marlene was killed.
Did you buy these after Marlene was killed?
I had them even before. This picture here is a painting of a clown. Marlene painted it when she was a teenager, and I think it's quite a coincidence. And I'll keep her forever, that is for sure.
what are the chances of that? Especially the one that she painted. So is it a coincidence, or is this someone that knew that this family had this clown obsession and decided to kill her specifically because of that? I mean, whoever did this must have known that about her. And the costume makes sense because, like, when you commit a murder, obviously you want to like protect yourself as much as you can, like cover up as much as you can. And the best way to do that is like a ski mask or something. But if you're wandering around in a ski mask, like, that is so much more obvious. But if you're a clown, you know, and it's the middle of the day, people think, oh, there's a clown going to a birthday party or something. Like, no one's gonna say anything. And you're completely disguised because that paint is all over your face, and you have this giant wig, and you have fake nose. Like, it really changes your identity. And so it makes sense that someone would want to use a clown costume to kill someone in, which is fucking creepy. I honestly think that's what scares people most about clowns, is that they're just unknown and secretive. It almost feels like you don't know what their intentions are, even though there's a lot of sweet people that dress up as clowns. I've always been kind of creeped out by them. So obviously people go to the husband first. So people naturally questioned Michael Warren. And Michael had an excuse that day. He had an alibi. Michael was actually at a racetrack thing with friends. So he had an alibi. He was not there. So they know that it wasn't him. But could he have asked someone else to do this, possibly? Marlene's parents claim that at one point their daughter told them that she was having marital problems with Michael, and in fact actually said, if anything happens to me, Michael did it. So that's, I mean, as a parent, I would just trust my child that they were scared enough to say something like that. The question is, if you aren't happy in a marriage, why don't you just leave, right? That's what most of us would do. But divorce court is crazy, and a lot of people don't want to go through divorce court. And if Michael and Marlene got divorced, it would have been a huge divorce because they owned all these different properties together. Most of them were in her name, so it would have been a huge, messy divorce. And Marlene had even been telling people that she suspected that Michael was having some type of affair. So Michael Warren actually owned a used car lot. 4 days after the shooting happened, the police found a white Chrysler LeBaron, and this car had actually been reported stolen, and it was from a used car lot. But not just any used car lot, it was from Michael Warren's used car lot. In the back of the car, there was a brown paper bag from Publix, and in the bag, there were some fibers from the clown wig, which was an orange wig. So there were a couple little fibers in there. So during the investigation, they completely went through Michael Warren's life, didn't trust anything that he said. They looked through everything that he did, all of his transactions and his business, and after some investigation, there were rumors that they found out about that Michael was having an affair with a woman named Sheila Keene. Sheila Keene actually ran a business to repossess cars. If you don't know what repossess is, if you're younger, if you get something or buy anything that has, you know, a monthly payment like a car or a motorcycle or a boat, whatever, and you stop paying for it, a repossession company will just come take the item from you or tow your car or whatever. So that's what she did. So Sheila would do work for Michael, repossess cars for him that people weren't making payments on. The police really pressed them thinking that they had an affair, and they would deny it. They said they were just friends, but they often were seen getting lunch together, so it wasn't just business. They even traveled together, but they said it was all for business. Sheila was actually married to a guy who was 24 years older than her and was in the KKK, so excellent choices. But she wanted to have this glamorous life and have a lot of money. And Mike Warren made a lot of money, and huge red flag, he was even paying for an apartment for Sheila. And neighbors saw him there so often that they literally thought they were married. And you know, Marlene wasn't dumb. She knew that this was happening. She said she suspected that he was having an affair. I think she saw that her marriage was derailing, and so did he. Did he take the easy way out to avoid a giant divorce and financial ruin? Like, my family went through a divorce and it literally crushed my whole family financially and for everybody. So I understand that. It's a lot of money. Not that that means you should kill someone, but it's definitely a motive for people. There's tons of people who have opted out of having to go through a divorce by killing people. Not only that, but he would benefit from Marlene being dead. He would get full control of all of their properties and their businesses, would get a life insurance settlement, and he would get ownership of their home. And all these things together would equal about a 7-figure payout. So Michael would get a lot more money if she was dead than if she was alive. Now, of course, Michael probably was thinking, well, if I kill my wife, I'm gonna be the first suspect, so I need to make sure I have an alibi, a proof that I was somewhere else, and I need to convince someone else to do this. Now, of course, these are just theories, you know, everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Now, interestingly enough, they tracked down the store that the clown costume was bought from, and they went to the owner and listened to her recount of what happened that night.
There wasn't, you know, internet shopping like there is today, even catalogs.
So you had a knock at the door, and then what?
She said, I need to buy a costume, and I said, can you come back tomorrow? We're closed. And now I really need to get a costume tonight.
The urgency understandable if it was Halloween, but it's May.
A Ruby's clown costume, an afro clown wig, Bob Kelly clown makeup, and a sponge nose.
I'd say probably around 5'8", brown eyes, long chocolate hair, and jeans.
I think the sale was like either $79 or $89. I sort of almost can see the sales receipt.
When they saw the picture of Sheila Keene, they said that it looked exactly like the woman who bought the costume that night.
I said, could I ask, please, what this is in reference to? And he said, well, you're probably gonna read about it all over the papers tomorrow morning, but a woman was shot at her front door. By a person dressed in a clown costume wearing flowers and balloons, and he shot her in the face.
Same woman was also seen at Publix employees, which is like the grocery store in Florida. They recognized her from buying flowers and a balloon. So it's pretty damn obvious that Mike and Sheila were having some type of affair, but they weren't able to ever prove it. There was no proof of them having an affair. It was all, you know, speculation. There was no way to hold either of them accountable for the murder of Marlene. There just wasn't enough evidence. Michael, however, while they were going through all of his stuff, they realized that he had been doing some very sketchy things in his car business. He was changing the mileage to lower so that people would think the cars had less use, that they were in better condition than they actually were, which is completely illegal. You always got to be careful with those, you know, car dealerships that are just like, you know, you don't even need credit here, we'll just give you this car. He was guilty of racketeering and 21 counts of odometer fraud, 11 counts of grand theft, and 10 counts of petty theft. And he faced up to 237 years in prison. Now, clearly that's not a fair sentence for someone who did that. The prosecution was just really going after him because they couldn't tie him to Marlene's murder, but they were pretty sure that he was involved and this was their way of getting back at him. And a judge shut it down because that really can't be how it works, because if he is innocent, be like, oh, well, let's get you for another crime and we'll just make this punishment way worse. It's just, that's just not fair on a grand scale for everybody. And the judge was so mad that the prosecution tried to do this that he only gave him 20 years of probation. But the prosecution appealed this, and in 1994, he was sentenced to 9 years in prison. He only served 3 years and was released on parole in 1997. So some time passed and they were never able to prove that Sheila and Mike had a relationship until recently. Recently, this case was opened up again by a local reporter who was looking into things, and they did some digging and they found out Sheila divorced her husband Richard in 2000, and she got married to Michael Warren in Las Vegas in a quiet little wedding. So if that doesn't seal the deal, then I don't know what does. And it was clear that they were keeping their relationship on the DL for this reason, but they waited, and 12 years after Marlene was murdered in her house, they decided to get married. And they moved to Abingdon, Virginia, and they actually owned a restaurant in Tennessee in Kingsport called the Purple Cow. If any of you ever been there, let me know in the comments. They're known locally.
Up until recently, Blevins told me the Warrens spent 6 days a week at the small drive-through restaurant they once owned in nearby Kingsport, Tennessee. It's called the Purple Cow.
They were known as Debbie and Mike. Sheila dyed her hair and they were living completely new lives, and everyone around them, all their neighbors, had never known that they lived in Florida and didn't know any of this past.
Well, I'm here on the main street of Abington. It's a historic, quaint town where this story of one of their own charged with a heinous crime from decades ago continues to be front page news. In Palm Beach County, she's called Sheila Keene Warren, but here she's Debbie, and in her neighborhood 15 minutes away from here, people are talking, but they don't really know what to say. Beautiful neighborhood, nice, friendly people all around.
I just felt so welcome in their home, and them and ours too.
This is the community where the couple has been living. It's a secluded, upscale neighborhood nestled in the mountains. You can see the house is right down here where there's just a picturesque view of rolling hills and a lake in the back.
Palm Beach County detectives opened this back up in 2014. So luckily, the Palm Beach County Police did an excellent job of preserving evidence for this case. Because they didn't have technology back in the 90s that they do now, they were able to test those orange clown wig fibers from that brown bag and determine that Sheila's DNA is on them.
The detectives during the initial investigation, Detective Bill Williams and the rest of his team did a phenomenal job documenting the entire case, as well as collecting and preserving the crime evidence from the crime scene. In cold cases, we have a big puzzle, and some of the pieces are already filled in, and a lot of it was already filled in by the thorough investigation done by the initial detectives. We just needed a few of those little pieces of the puzzle, and we were able to do that with the new technologies in DNA, and we were able to complete the puzzle. And I think that's what led to the indictment.
Remember the days when we had the cell phones that were about this wide, like a brick? And now we got smartphones that you can do everything on? That's the difference between the technology back when this happened and today. It's exponentially so much better to assist us in making sure that we have the right person, which goes back to the question of, what about the evidence at that point in time? There's one thing to think somebody did something. There's another thing to know that they did it and be able to prove it in court. We want to make sure we got the right person, because if we don't have the right person, number one, we don't want to put an innocent person in jail, but number two, the real perpetrator is still out there.
Now, it's pretty incredible all these years later they can do that. And so that's all they needed to finally connect them together once they were able to see that they were married. Like, what are the chances? You just happened to marry this woman that was also a suspect in your wife's murder case. Just come on, dude. Like, they honestly never should have gotten married. That was so stupid. But I'm glad that they did, because on September 27th of this year, Sheila Keene was arrested, and she is being charged with the first-degree murder of Marlene Warren. And the prosecution is going to be seeking the death penalty.
Breaking news in the clown cold case murder. The state will seek the death penalty against Sheila Keene Warren. She is accused of murdering Marlene Warren 27 years ago. Warren was extradited back to Palm Beach County and booked late last night.
Mike Warren and Sheila Keene Warren both say they are innocent completely, that they had nothing to do with the murder of Marlene.
My client will plead not guilty. She vehemently denies her guilt.
She had a bond hearing on October 4th.
Good morning, Your Honor. Richard Lubin on behalf of Miss Warren.
Ma'am, you're charged by way of indictment by the State Attorney's Office with first-degree murder with a firearm. This is your first appearance, and we're here to address your bond. State.
State is seeking no bond, Your Honor. At this time, the state is filing its notice of intent to seek the death penalty.
All right. And, ma'am, I am setting your bond at no bond based upon the serious nature of the charges.
The state is requesting a no-contact order with a Joseph Aarons.
All right, thank you.
And who is Mr. Aarons that she is not allowed to contact?
That is the victim's son. He was the one in the home at the time the victim was murdered.
So she's currently awaiting trial. So might be an interesting one to keep up with. If you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me, because I normally keep up with cases I've covered and try to, just give you guys additional information as stuff comes out. But pretty interesting case. I mean, I definitely think Sheila did this. And I am so sorry for Marlene that the last moment of her life, she was happy and smiling and looking at these beautiful flowers. And I guess maybe in a way that was nice. The fact that someone would have the nerve to kill someone in a moment like that is just shocking and very sad. And it's possible that Mike Warren could get charged for something as well as they dig into this case and try to learn more about his involvement.
There's still a lot of questions about Michael Warren, the victim's husband and now the suspect's husband. Will he face charges in this case?
Well, I can't speak specifically to Michael Warren or any of the specific facts of this case. I can just say generally, whenever you're dealing with any homicide case, that we're going to investigate anyone who may be culpable and will make a decision on prosecutions as appropriate.
So I hope both of them are punished for this. Marlene's family and her soul and her son can get some peace. And the truth is gonna come out. I just feel it. So I definitely will be following this case. You should as well. But that's it for me today, guys. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying Freak Week. Definitely tell me what you guys think about this case. That's it for me today, guys. I will see you next time. Bye.